If you could bottle his optimism, his humor, and his sincerity, it would be in a sanitizer container that could fill this room. Tonight on Whiskey Business, my good friend Dan Swartout. They say it takes two weeks, 2 weeks to develop a good habit, 2 weeks to maybe go to the gym 2 weeks in a row to actually start getting into that routine of working out, 2 weeks if you're trying to quit smoking, and then maybe you'll be on your way, 14 days in order to accept something and make it a part of your life. It's been seven days and I don't know if I actually want this to be a part of my routine or our routine. Hi, I'm Dino and welcome to Whiskey Business, the podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey, and we are once again broadcasting remotely from our homes and also streaming on Facebook Live. And we thank you all for joining us. We've got a lot more people right out of the gate than we had last week, so thank you so much for that. And we're going to have a lot of fun tonight as I welcome, of course, the Whiskey Business team, who I cannot do this without. Greg Hansberry in my lower right-hand corner, John Whitney in my lower left-hand corner, and up on top, our very special guest, comedian Dan Swartout, and if I may say, am I allowed to use your title of vice mayor of the village of Powell as well?
As long as you say city, yes, you are allowed. The city of Powell.
Say city of Powell? It's not a village?
No.
Feels like a village. Feels like it's quaint. It's quaint. It's quaint. I don't mean that in a positive way. It's quaint.
Thank you. Yes.
Giving Powell a complex.
I'm not giving Powell a complex. I'm giving Powell the quaint personality that I'm sure it relishes and enjoys. But thank you. Swarty is with us, Vice Mayor, City or Villa. Do not let Hansberry. Someone already said that no one should allow Hansberry access to the titles.
All right.
Out of our control. For those of you not familiar with Whiskey Business, like I said, a podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey. We always have a guest bottle, and I find this almost cruel. I really do, because normally, Hansberry and Whitney and myself are all together and we share in the guest bottle. But tonight, it's just me. This is a bottle of Noah's Mill. Ooh. Noah's Mill from the fine people at Willett. It packs a punch at about 114 proof. It ranges between $50 and $60 a bottle.
And it's legit when it looks like a wine bottle.
Yes.
You rarely see the whiskey in a wine bottle.
Is that your criteria, Hansberry? If it looks like a wine bottle, it's got to be good whiskey.
Fancy.
Yeah.
What kind of whiskey is that?
This is interesting because it's definitely a bourbon, but the mash bill is undisclosed. Some experts would say it's a combination of some rye grains and some wheated bourbons, but the mash bill is undisclosed. It used to have an age statement of about 15 years, but now it's somewhere between 4 and 20 years. And despite the fact that it's 114.3 proof, it's not that hot. It's not that hot as it goes down. And definitely got some strong cinnamon notes and some lovely vanilla.
That was my favorite band from the 60s, the Cinnamon Notes. Do you remember them?
Yeah, they were huge. I have all their album.
All their album.
This is good stuff. So I apologize, fellas, but I'm also kind of relishing the fact wow, this bottle will actually stick around for a while because you two aren't drinking it.
I'm not pounding it.
It's like the one bourbon my wife will actually drink. My wife Jen likes Noah's Mill. It's like the only one she likes. Mm-hmm. She likes Noah's Mill.
Yeah.
It's great.
So Are you drinking tonight, boys? Hansberry, Whitney, anybody? No.
Yeah, I'm actually. Oh, there you go.
Old
Johnny's
Granddad,
got some old
bottled and
Granddad.
bond. Yeah, bonded. That's good. That's a good whiskey value. Hansberry, what are you drinking?
Well, I'm going against the grain here. My wife got me these cucumber lavender bitters, real fancy pants. So I made a gin and tonic. I know it goes against the grain of whiskey business, but
and Swarty, what is that?
A sparkling carbonated flavored water from the good people at Kirkland.
Which dispels one of the myths about whiskey business. Our guests do not have to drink whiskey. It's an option, not a requirement. So
the last time I was on the show, you asked me how the whiskey tasted, and I told you it tasted like burning. So,
right.
So maybe I'm trying to move into a new direction this time.
But you also told me in some private text back and forth, because we chat all the time, that you actually were enjoying the Weller that I gave you, the Weller Special Reserve.
You got me Weller around right near Christmas time, and usually when you get me a bottle, it lasts maybe 7 or 8 months. And this one's going to last maybe 5 or 6. So I like it. I like it a little more.
Wait. One bottle lasts 7 or 8 months? Do you realize that I don't have one bottle that's lasted 7 or 8 days in this pandemic? They've been tossed into the recycle bin like good strong soldiers that served me well, and then off they go. But God, 7 or 8 months. God bless you. That's amazing. One bottle.
Wow.
No,
it wouldn't last me 3 days.
No, it wouldn't. You're a rare man, Dan Swartout. A rare man.
It comes with nice flavors, though, that sparkling water. So at least he's got that going for him.
It really does.
Yeah, it's an array.
So let me ask you this.
Array. It's an array of nice flavors.
Cucumber lavender.
Let me ask you this, Danny.
Yes.
With everything that's going on right now, what has it affected most in your life? You make a living as a stand-up comedian. You're also a lawyer. You're also part of city council in Powell, and now the vice mayor. And you're also a family man with a lovely wife and a beautiful daughter. So when all this started to go down, what started processing in your life, and what's been affected the most?
I think that just getting used to this new normal. I'm at home. My wife is at home. My daughter's at home. Homeschooling. Being a social person who likes to interact with people, just not doing that as much. I think it takes a little bit of time to get used to the fact that this is the new normal. I used to have places I would go to kind of break up the day, or obviously get on stage in front of how many people and tell jokes, and that's just not something you can do anymore. So I don't think it's any different for me than it is for everybody else. Everyone's got kind of their new normal and how they adjust to it.
And everybody's got their own variation on the
absolutely
theme. And some people, like I said, we're 1 week in, and everybody adapts differently, and it affects everybody differently. I personally am handling it okay. Others are already climbing the walls. I know some people, some friends and relationships, that they're not used to being together all the time. It wasn't what they signed up for, unconsciously or consciously. It's an interesting how this is having an interesting effect on the dynamics of relationships.
For me, it's been a little bit longer. You say 1 week. This would be my daughter spent the last 2 weeks home from school. So doing the homeschooling and the remote learning the last 2 weeks, and this would have been her spring break. So this is kind of, for me, entering week 3.
Yeah, well, I said 1 week since we were here last, so I stand
okay, I
corrected
see what you're saying.
as far as the time frame goes. Yeah, I know that the stay-at-home order has been longer, but it's been a week since we were all here together.
We just count time in whiskey business time.
I
It is
do.
1 week WBT.
I do. I count.
That should be in our next 2
bottles?
o'clock press conference. It has been It has been 14 hours WBT, and we've got some news from the doctor. So everybody, buckle up.
And 30 empty bottles.
Yeah, right.
Somebody said they're binging Battlestar Galactica as a family. I certainly hope it's the one with Lauren Green.
There
the
you
original?
go. Oh, yeah. See, you're getting ahead of me because that's definitely going to be part of the conversation. Is Dan Swartout's love for 80s television? I've
got some stuff ready for you, Dino, because I knew you'd ask about that.
I'm saving that for in the middle somewhere because I saw your picture of season 2 of Night Court. Nice little pun, court still in session. Because you're a lawyer. What is going on with that as far as lawyers and whatnot? How are you guys lawyering, so to speak?
I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what their practice entails. There's all sorts of new orders that have come down as far as extending statute of limitations and deadlines and jury trials. So, I mean, I think it's just like any profession. It's kind of on a case-by-case basis.
If I get a jury duty summons right now, if I was one in the mail tomorrow, would I tear it up, or do I have to throw it away? I mean, they're not going to have jury trials right now, right?
I would imagine that that's a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Good question, Dino.
You're not getting pulled over for
Fire that off.
I don't know.
That was the first good question we've had in 4 minutes WBT time. So this
WBT
is awesome.
time. I like WBT time. I'm gonna do something with that.
Oh, outstanding.
There it is.
I love Hansberry's finally doing something practical.
I got a Night Court cast photo up for Swarty.
Well, I've got one for you too. Right back at you. Right back at you. I found out today. I didn't remember that Marky Post, who was the longest serving assistant. No, she wasn't the assistant DA. She was the defense attorney, the longest serving. She had one episode in season 2 at the beginning before she became a regular in season 3. So I was intrigued by this and I had to look it up. And it's because she was still a regular on The Fall Guy.
Oh, weird. Wow.
Now, do you think under normal circumstances, pandemic aside, stay-at-home order aside, would you still have looked that up today?
Oh, absolutely.
Without everything going on, that still would have nagged at you?
Oh, I would have had, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You see that and you're like, because I saw it was like Marky Post is in an episode. Then I had it on in the background as I was working. And I watched the next episode. I'm like, well, that's Ellen Foley. What's going on here? Of course. And Ellen Foley, of course, probably most famous, aside from being on Night Court, from singing the lead with Meatloaf on Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Oh, that was her?
Yeah, that was her.
Yes. The man is an amazing vault of information.
Oh my God.
When he and I just sit and chat privately, we go forever. And I learn from him. I learn things all the time. I learned something again tonight from the 80s master of television and films. And I was supposed to come before all this happened. I was supposed to come to your house to check out your new big theater system.
Well, we just finished our basement, and that's why everyone's got these cool backgrounds, with the vinyl or the pictures, and I'm just in front of it. Looks like I'm having a mugshot taken.
A blank wall.
Yeah, a blank wall. Here he is. He's 5'10". Because we haven't decorated.
I'm surrounded by toys too, so
And thank you. Chrissy's right. You got to Google stuff. Something comes up and you Google it and you're like, that I did not know.
What? Did not know what? that?
Well, I
You
did
had
not
to Google
know
that?
that. I did not remember. Yeah, if something comes up and you see something and you're just like, "Whoa, this is I didn't expect this, or I didn't understand this, or know this." That's the beautiful thing. I mean, that is kind of one of the nice things that now we have still. If you want to take advantage of it during this time, you have the whole entire knowledge of humankind at your fingertips, and you could learn a language, or you could study history or chemistry, or you can look up sitcom facts. It's what you decide to do with all of this at your disposal.
And you chose.
And now I actually feel bad. Instead of learning a language, I looked up Murphy Poe's sitcom career.
I vote sitcom knowledge myself.
It's probably more easier digested, and also you'll retain more.
Yes.
Yeah, than you would a language. But if you were going to learn a language, what would you go for right now? If you were going to learn a new language,
is that Mr. Belvedere right there?
That is Mr. Belvedere, and that's another one. That's another one. That's another one I've been watching because I know you want to Dino.
God,
I remember that.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
If you go back in the Whiskey Business archives, you can hear our first episode with Dan, and I think we talk quite significantly about Mr. Belvedere.
I think there was some whiskey. Was it like a whiskey minute or something on that?
Oh, we did. We were putting out some whiskey shots. We did.
Oh, that's what it was.
Whitney would put out whiskey shots to tease the podcast, and that was one of them. But yes, and I told you that Mr. Belvedere popped up somewhere on cable, and I actually watched an episode paying homage to you. I didn't want to watch it, but if Swarty thinks this is worth my time, then I'm going to give it a shot. And I was really sorry that I did.
Krista says she's going to have the entire Mr. Belvedere theme song in her head all day.
Leon Redbone. Is Leon Redbone sing the theme song for Mr. Belvedere?
He does indeed.
Oh, the fuck?
Prove
Get
it.
out of here. Really?
Prove
Yeah.
it.
Google it right now.
No,
Good call,
sing it,
Krista.
Swarty. Sing the theme
Freaks
song.
on the China, never met him before. Who cares? I don't know why I moved my mouth like that as I sang it. You're not gonna get the same impact on just the audio only version.
You're channeling Leon the Redbone. You're channeling him. So.
That's so funny.
Awesome.
So, can you be stumped? Can you be stumped on any 80s sitcom theme song, or do you know them all?
Well, I mean, if the show had any discernible length of time,
okay,
I feel pretty good.
Right.
Marla Gibbs sitcom Checking In, the spinoff from the Jeffersons. I think it lasted 5 episodes with Larry Linville from MASH as the comic foil. I don't think
Checking In.
Yes.
Checking In.
Yes. They did it.
Was that after? What was the one where she was in the apartment building?
227.
Was that after 227 or before?
No,
227?
it was before. It was like around 81. They tried a spin-off of the Jeffersons, and I think it lasted about 4 or 5 episodes with Larry Linville, Frank Burns from MASH.
Yeah, well, there's
basically
the
playing
right
Frank Burns again.
Yeah, nobody likes Larry Linville, other than as Frank Burns, right? Yeah. So,
right.
Wow. All right, quick little quiz. Let's just throw a couple at them. I'll go easy to start. Facts of life. You don't have to sing the whole thing, just the opening strains. Facts of life.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life. There's a time you gotta go until you're growing. Now you know about the facts of life. The world always seems to be.
Someone wants to know if you know who sang the theme song to Growing Pains. Do you know who sang the theme song to Growing Pains?
That would have been B.J. Thomas. Would it have not been? Is that correct? Is that correct?
You could have said anybody's name. We don't know.
Tell me.
I'm looking at it now.
I don't know.
Is that the same person who sang the theme for the hero one, the super? What was it called? Grace American Hero.
No, that would have been Joey Scarberry.
Of course it was Joey Scarberry. Okay. Everybody knows that.
Went to number 2. It was only kept out of number 1 by "Endless Love" by Lionel Richie and Diana Ross.
Oh man, I bet.
Seriously, I'm going to ask this repeatedly over the course of the night. What is wrong with you? Why do you know that?
Alan Thicke sang the Different Strokes theme song.
Oh, he
Wrote it
did
too, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I believe, wrote the Facts of Life theme song.
Well, he was making bank. God rest his soul. But yeah. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Silver Spoons theme song. Sing it.
Here we are, face to face, a couple of silver spoons, hoping to find we're two of a kind.
Wow.
Together, find our way to learn all about those things you just can't buy.
Okay, and I've asked you this probably in the archives, but just for the sake of right now, why, Dan? Why? What is the attraction to the 80s sitcoms? Where were you in life that these are still a part of your life now? Where do they take you back to? What? There's got to be some sort of significance in there that are they just comforting?
I think it is. I think it's comfort food. Now, it's not just that I watch only these shows. You know, I've been taking this time to really get caught up on Better Call Saul. So I watch some modern stuff as well. But it's just, it's like comfort food. It's like Meatloaf. Not Meatloaf the singer, although that's comfort food as well. Meatloaf is like Meatloaf. Oh, there we go. There's the Growing Pains cast right there. You got Ricky Schroeder. Or Silver Spoons, yeah. You got Ricky Schroeder, Aaron Gray. Yeah.
And what's your feeling? What's your feeling on all these reboots of some of these shows? Like they rebooted Full House, the Fuller House. They're doing a reboot of Saved by the Bell. All these old. I heard that. What was the other one?
I know they've done One Day at a Time on
One
Netflix.
Day at a Time, which is actually really, really good.
That's what I've heard.
Really good, really, really good. But yeah, what's your feeling on them going back to those days and trying to make some magic again, you know, with some of the original cast members?
I like it. You know, I was always one, like, if there was like an episode of the Today Show, right? And it's 7:47 and they say stick around because at 8:35 we're going to have the whole cast of 8 is Enough here. You better believe I was sitting on that couch waiting at 8:35 to see Willie Ames and the gang. So I like it. I like seeing how everyone, turned out.
So not only the sitcoms, but you were very much into the dramas of the 80s as well, the family dramas, because that had moments of humor, but basically it was about that.
Cue the sappy music,
family. Yeah,
and then the sappy music, and they'd apologize and hug, and
exactly. Yeah, that's always nice.
What's your daughter? How old's your daughter now?
She's 8.
8. What is she watching? And is Daddy trying to influence her?
I did.
Massive DVD collection.
We, earlier on, she did watch a lot of Full House, and she has now started watching some Fuller House. Right now, what she's into is pretty much Disney, those Disney sitcoms.
Dude,
the ones
Disney
on the Disney
Plus
Channel,
just printing money. Oh
yeah,
my God.
or Disney or the Nickelodeon ones. Mm-hmm. She's been watching a lot of the one recently that had Ariana Grande on it.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
I don't know what that show is called. It's just all I know is that my daughter now talks nonstop about Ariana Grande.
Hey, her and I will get along a lot. All right.
And whenever she thinks like there is some actor who I might know, she stops the video, comes and find me and to point out that there might be some actor I like, if for whatever reason Howard Hessman was on one of these Nickelodeon shows, she'd be like, Daddy, I recognize him from one of your shows. I don't think Howard Hessman was ever on a show with Ariana Grande, though.
No, but Howard Hessman, WKRP in Cincinnati, and then an 80s sitcom as well. He was a teacher, right?
Well, yeah, he was on Head of the Class, and then he had a brief interlude between WKRP and Head of the Class where he married Ann Romano on One Day at a Time. So I'm bringing it all back.
He actually married Ann Romano on One Day at a Time?
The last season.
Was he on Bill and Ted also, or was that George Carlin?
That was George Carlin. But I could see where you would make that comparison to Hansberry, so I'm not going to give you any grief about that.
Whitney hasn't said anything.
John chimes
We're
in.
not talking about Joe versus the volcano.
I don't want to tell you.
It's a
I don't wanna tell
brain
you about
cloud. Is that what it was from Joe versus the volcano?
I'm holding back. I don't want to tell you about the story about Gordon Jump sleeping on our couch. I don't want to go into that.
What do you mean?
How can you have a tease like that and not follow through?
You're gonna make Swarty insane if you don't tell him that story.
If you don't tell me this story about the big guy right here,
show it. I can't see it all. Let everybody see what you got.
WKRP. Gordon Jump.
So my father,
I believe, went to Otterbein, right?
Yeah, and he's from Dayton, Ohio, as well.
Yeah.
So my father, he was a weatherman at WHIO in Dayton. And he also had a summer replacement kind of variety show. And they would bring in these people that were in this Kenley Players, which was a kind of an off-Broadway touring company.
I remember the Kenley Players, yeah.
And Gordon Jump came onto his show. It was a Friday night. And he said, "How would you like to come to dinner tomorrow at our house?" And he said, "Yes." So I walked in, and there's Gordon Jump asleep on the couch, waiting to go to dinner. We're not going to dinner, waiting to eat. He just fell asleep on the couch because he must have been wiped because, you're going on tour with some kind of a off-Broadway show. And he was a super nice guy. He was really nice to us. We were like 12, 13 years old. We're young kids. He didn't have to be nice to us, but he was. We had spaghetti, and it was like, it was a nice little meal.
Shaking his head.
I'm just like, that's really, really cool.
Swarty's in awe. He's in awe.
Now I have like 2 degrees of Gordon Jump, and it's what I've always wanted.
Yeah.
Let me shift gears for just a second and ask you about what your responsibilities are now in the city, not the village, the city of Powell. I remember when you ran for city council and you got elected, and now you are the vice mayor. I don't know what that title actually means. Should the actual mayor, release the crown, you would fulfill the duties. I don't know, but in all seriousness, what have been your responsibilities to the citizens of Powell through all this? What have you guys been doing? And is Powell reacting in a positive way? Are they doing their due diligence?
I think, yes. The city of Powell, I think the number one responsibility that any municipality has, and it's Powell or wherever, in a situation such as this, I think the number one concern that people have is that the essential services continue. The essential services, fire, police, things of that nature. And I know that the city has done a really good job of getting the police ready for what we're dealing with here. And it continues. This is such a fluid situation. I mean, I remember the week of, I want to say the week of the 14th, the Friday would have been the 14th, March the 13th, where it just seemed like every minute something new was happening. First it's the Blue Jackets are going to play in an empty arena. Then the Blue Jackets are canceled. Then the NBA game, everyone leaves the court and everyone's gone. Then the NCAAs are canceled. Then the game, I mean, it's just everything was happening so quickly. It's like every time you looked around, something new was happening. And in that kind of fluid situations where things are happening so quickly, it's again making sure that those essential services are still available to our residents. So, we have an incredible police department here in Powell. In Liberty Township, which services Powell, most of Powell, the vast majority of Powell, we have an incredible fire and EMS service. And I know that I, along with some other representatives from the city of Powell, attended a meeting of the Liberty Township trustees just to make sure that that kind of cooperative effort and coordination and shared, responsibilities and duties to the best that we can do to make sure that, the citizens continue to receive those essential services. So there's been a lot of great collaboration and planning for something that has been such a fluid situation that changes all the time. And beyond that, one of the things that's been great here in the city, and I'm sure this isn't alone to Powell, is just how the community has come together.
My question, has the community come together as a community?
Tremendously. And you look on it, and I think this is one of the powerful things of social media. Social media is sometimes derided, but I think it has a lot of tremendous benefits as well. For example, we've had some people here form a Let's Support Powell Local Businesses group on Facebook, where they are advocating for local businesses, supporting local businesses, restaurant takeout, restaurant delivery, making sure that those businesses can stay in business to the best that they can and continue to pay and employ people to make it through this time. And that's been a tremendous thing that's come up through social media, that people have put a tremendous amount of work in, that's done a tremendous amount of good for our local businesses. People sharing, supplies, offering to help their neighbors or people who maybe don't have the same kind of ability to deal with this crisis that we're in right now. And I think you see the power of that in social media. And I think it's been really tremendous. And I'm sure Powell is not alone in that. I'm sure in every town there are people doing things like this as well, people who believe and love their communities.
Did you heave a heavy sigh? Because I know that by profession, like I said, in the last couple of decades, you've been a stand-up comedian. You obviously would not have ran for city council unless you actually wanted to. I don't think you did it as a joke. You actually were serious about the gig, and you got the gig, and you've been there. Did when all this started to happen, wow, this is almost a little more than what I signed up for, or have you embraced it and kind of ran with it? I mean, how has that changed what you're doing and the significance of what you signed up for? I mean, you're making a difference as best you can on your own. I know that. I know who you are. I know the quality and integrity of your character. So I know that you take it all very seriously.
Well, one of the number one things is that, and this is something that's just happened here in the state recently, is, obviously as a municipality, as a governmental body, we have to do our meetings in open and access to the public. And so the public can come and see what we're doing, our open meeting and sunshine laws. And obviously, this has not been a situation that has been conducive for any kind of gathering. So we've had to cancel some meetings and some of the things that we would normally be doing on a weekly or bi-weekly basis as far as our regular meetings and our committee meetings. So some of that has been canceled. And now there has been some relief that's kind of coming down where some of these meetings can happen remotely. So in the meantime, it's basically just, checking in and getting the information and relaying the information and trying to make sure that the plans that have been put in place are being followed through. Yeah, I don't think anyone expected this kind of situation. It all happened so very, very quickly. Originally, as March started, I was not planning to be in my basement on Tuesday night here.
No.
I was supposed to be in Orlando. I mean, this is the week of my daughter's spring break.
This is you're supposed to be on the Disney cruise again, right?
Yes. So, yes. I mean, these things just, you adapt and you move forward and you try to plan as best you can, but at the same time, realize that the plans you have can be changed in a moment as this situation changes so rapidly. And trying to stay on top of things is huge. And a lot of times people will come to me and ask me questions about.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, questions about, hey, is the trash going to be picked up tomorrow?
Right.
I mean, these are just kind of the essential services that people expect on a day-to-day basis. And the number one priority is to make sure, to the best we can, especially the truly essential services, that those continue in a manner that meets the needs of the people in our city, but at the exact same time does everything we can to protect the people delivering those services. You want to protect the police officers, you want to protect the firefighters, and make sure that what they're doing is done at the highest safety level to make sure that they can continue to provide those services and to make sure that they and their families are safe and healthy.
You know what I find amazing about you? That you can effortlessly go from the theme song from The Greatest American Hero.
Believe it or not, Dino, I can.
And go effortlessly into your role in politics there in Powell, and both of them
That was
are
impressive.
just as sincere and impressive. It's a good word, Hansberry. So that's it's very
Thank
cool.
you.
No, you're welcome, man.
I've lived here now for almost 16 years. It's a wonderful community with wonderful people, and to see the way our community has lifted each other up and helped each other, it's a great thing to see.
Yeah. You
Hey,
mentioned.
I have a question. I got a question.
Go ahead, Johnny.
If Powell, Ohio had a sitcom, what would the theme song be?
That's a great question. That is actually a really good question.
What would it be? An existing theme song that would fit for Powell, or an original theme song, Johnny?
Would I have to? Do I have to make it up on the spot, or do I?
You don't have to, but
Because Dino, do you have any improv skills right now? I mean, what's your experience in doing improv? Because the number one rule of improv is don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions.
Yes,
say yes.
We would have a wonderful sitcom. Whitney, yes, and
don't deny
it. Yes, and.
Now I want to think of it. You know, maybe it would be the sitcom to this show, the theme to this show right here.
Family Ties.
Yeah. You know, they lived in Columbus, but they never said what part of Columbus. Maybe.
No, they never did.
No, maybe it was right here in Powell.
Seriously, how large is that stack off camera of DVDs?
This one here is only 5 because I knew we were only going about an hour.
Yeah.
But I could pull out all 8 seasons of Newhart right now. No, that's what it would be. It would be Newhart. Soothing, comforting, relaxing, by Academy Award winner Henry Mancini, so it's classy as well. That's what it would be.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. You
Thank
mentioned
you, Whitney. I'm glad you asked me that question and broke all the rules of improv.
Oh,
you mentioned
Chip
something
just
about
asked who sang the theme to Newhart. Is that the question? Newhart was an instrumental.
It was an instrumental.
But I'll sing it right now.
right.
There you go. I sang it, Chip. I sang it.
You mentioned earlier when we were talking about your role in city council and as vice mayor, how social media sometimes derides. I want to take the opportunity, since we are whiskey business. I got an email from our friend James Canepa, superintendent of Ohio Liquor Control, in respects to some of the bogus stories that are floating around about Ohio. And in this particular case, in respects to our liquor agencies, there was a bogus video going around saying that the Ohio liquor agencies were going to close. And he said, can you share this with as many people as possible, that that's not the case? I want to just jump around here from his email. Certain states are banning the sale of alcohol. States like Illinois and California aren't banning alcohol sales. Claims that states are banning alcohol sales appear to have originated on a prank page. And he goes on to talk about other ones as well. We're not shutting down the liquor agencies in Ohio. And he goes on to talk about Pennsylvania, which actually got some of their stuff closed. People in Pennsylvania can actually still buy alcohol, but because one distillery is selling bottles from a drive-through and shipping it to people's front doors, another shop is selling vodka and whiskey for curbside pickup. But yeah, the off-premise agencies have closed. And I last week I was drinking Wiggle Pennsylvania rye whiskey as an homage to them. But what he goes on to say basically is that we're good and stop. There's enough shit. There's enough real bad shit out there on a daily basis that gets flooded into our streams, our phones, and our computers and our emails. But we don't need bogus bullshit that's going to make some people upset or worry and panic. And with people who enjoy whiskey business, a bad rumor about the liquor agencies closing would be the equivalent of a run on the bank in It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
You've been waiting all show for that one, haven't you, Dino? You've literally been like, I can't wait to drop this one. I wrote this. This is going to be great.
As far as a reference, yeah.
Yes, for that particular joke, when you take a shot, an angel gets its wings, right, Dino?
If that's true, in the last couple of weeks, I've made a lot of angels very, very happy. Very happy.
One of the things I think I've seen with that particular rumor is that this, I think, goes back to the old days of the internet and the old days of Espresso 22 is phenomenal. Thank you, Chip. One of the in the olden days of the internet, what was it? What was it? Rick rolling?
Yeah.
With Rick Astley, right?
I'm never
Right.
gonna have you up.
Well, it's still happening.
If you go
It's still
back, if
happening.
you look on Facebook, there are a lot of posts where it says Governor DeWine shutting down liquor stores, and then you click on it, and it's Rick Astley singing.
Yep.
Never
Yeah,
going
my
to
wife got nailed on that one. Yep, my wife.
Yeah,
got
so
nailed on
that's,
that
I
one
think,
yesterday.
maybe people following through, or maybe people who don't get the joke from the internet circa 2006.
Exactly right.
You know, maybe they're like, well, is Rick Astley closing down the liquor stores? I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I've seen that too. But once I clicked on it and I saw that it was Rick Astley singing, I'm pretty sure this is an internet prankster at work.
Never gonna give it.
Well, I thought that
There
was
we are.
There it is.
There he
Hansberry
is.
is on
I'm
it
loving
today.
this. I'm
He is
loving
working
this
hard.
today. Normally, I don't get to play the video. This is fun.
James Canepa was our first Facebook Live effort, and he's a good man, and I'm sure that he's doing everything he can for the state of Ohio to keep those particular agencies open. Let's be honest, in moments of crisis, be they financial or in this case, a pandemic, and with a stay-at-home order to boot, people drink more. You, Swarty, you're fortunate. It's not part of your regular lifestyle to begin with. But for those that do,
That Costco water, though. Woo-wee!
The Costco water mixed with a little bit of Tito's vodka. That's the extent of my mixology right there. That would be on the whiskey business junior edition. Me offering those kinds of
Sneaking into a high school dance.
Dino, one thing I wanted to ask you.
Sure, man. Please, anything.
All the time now that as a stand-up, you've missed out on the premise. I've had shows canceled. I will have more shows canceled.
I've had a couple gigs canceled, yeah.
Yeah, when you look at that, how that's shut down, how is that affecting you personally? Because I know how it's affecting me. It's almost like I'll never take having that microphone and that stage for granted again, because as it's taken away from you, you really appreciate it much more than you would on a day in and day out basis.
I get what you're saying, and I do completely agree with that, because there's nothing ever as comedians that's better than standing in front of a live audience and telling jokes and making people laugh. I think I have a bit of a saving grace with this.
Yeah, this is good.
This is good. I mean,
have to adjust, but it's been
although
fun.
I'm not sure I'd want Whitney in the front row of a comedy show, to be honest with you. I might feel a little bit of this right here.
I don't give a shit anymore. I used to care, but I'll just stand there, and if people don't go out from behind me, usually there's like a V behind me of nothing. A clear V.
But this is kind of the podcast, which we started when I was at the radio station a few years ago, and then we just continued it afterwards. This has been my saving grace. And I was telling both Whitney and Hansberry after we wrapped up last week that this right now that we're doing live kind of made me pine for daily broadcasting. Do I have a big desire to go back into radio? I've told people that if the right job at the right time came around, maybe. But do I miss being in touch with people on a daily basis? especially when we're going through something like this, where things are changing on a daily basis. Yeah, I do miss that. I do miss that communication with the public. And I told these guys that, if I could, because technology speaking, not the smartest guy. I said, but if I could figure out how to go on Facebook Live on a regular basis myself, and do for political purposes, let's go a fireside chat on a nightly basis, I would probably do it, because there's things that are going through my mind on a daily basis, both serious and humorous. As you've been sitting at home, I'm sure that the next time you go up on stage, you're probably just jonesing to express some of these things and find the comedic slant. And when I say find the comedic slant, that's tough to do because people are dying, and you don't want to poke fun. But once again, your stand-up, much like mine, is occasionally very self-deprecating, and that you talk about how things are affecting you and your life, not so much taking advantage of the plight of others or the sadness of others. It's how it affects you. So that's would be my approach as well moving forward. When I would talk about the coronavirus on stage the next time I'm up there, it'll probably be how it affected me personally, if I'm on a social level, a romantic level, whatever the case might be. And so, yeah, to answer your question in a very long-winded way, yes, but this saves me. This saves me. And I would love to do more of it. If this becomes the new normal, which ironically is the title of last week's podcast, we call that the new normal. If this becomes a new normal, I don't see how I don't get on here on a daily basis and do something and talk about something. You see whiskeybusinesspod.com floating down below you people on a regular basis. That is our new website that we just started up not too long ago. And on there, in fact, Johnny, I think I sent you something last night that I wrote to post.
Yeah, I'll post it probably by Thursday. I had just posted that short story on the website, so I'm just going to give it a couple days.
Last night I wrote something called "What If," that deals with the situation that we're in right now. Nothing funny, but it was kind of serious. The what if scenario has been hounding me. I'll be 61 years of age this April 21st, and the what if scenario has hounded me more than it ever has as far as my mortality. I've never questioned my mortality until recently, because this thing is just so deviously simple to catch and kill if it so desires, or if it enters the right person. So my mortality was questioned quite a bit last night when I was writing what if it were to get me, and what if I didn't get to finish a lot of the things that I still want to do. So when it does get posted, John, we'll have that on whiskeybusinesspod.com. Did I even fucking answer your question, Swarty? I don't know.
Has it really been 11 years since we've done your 50th birthday roast? Has it really been that long?
Yes. Wow. Yes. Yeah, it has been. That was the greatest. People say, what do you want to do for your birthday? Something special for your birthday. I go, the 50th was as grand as anybody could ever get. Swarty's referring to the roast at the Funny Bone on my 50th birthday, which was amazing. That
was a very fun night. I wish I could go back and find my 3x5 cards with the various jokes I wrote about you. And
can you remember any of them?
Is it on tape anywhere?
It is on tape.
Oh yeah, we have a DVD. I want to. Yeah, that goes back to Paul Anthony, because Paul Anthony, one of my long time friends, put that whole thing together. Contacted you guys. Paulie made the DVD. At his own expense. Yeah, there's a DVD out there.
Proceeds. I believe proceeds benefited the Columbus Dog Connection. Am I correct?
One of that, if not that, and more. But yeah,
I know that. Yeah, that was a great night, and 11 years ago. I understand.
11 years ago.
I understand. Yeah, somebody who was at the roast just commented. I understand the podcasting thing and that creation that it connects with an audience. I used to do a podcast. We were on the first wave of podcasting, me and Bill Arundel back in 2005. We started the Bill and Dan show that started in the real infancy of podcasting. And one of the things we ended up, our podcast kind of reached people all over the world, including somebody in Australia who went on to do podcasting and stand up in Australia and became a celebrity in Australia to an extent. And he was in Columbus and did a podcast with me and Bill where he referred to us in the Bill and Dan show as Nirvana's favorite band's favorite band. That's how he kind of referred to us as, being on that forefront of podcasting. And you create that rapport with an audience. And I understand that. And I do miss that to an extent. And I understand how much you take from that, and this show takes from that, because this show has really grown exponentially, and it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, we've had a blast doing it, and I'm glad that we're adjusting to, as you said earlier, the new normal and doing it this way. I also said it was kind of almost if you could take something good out of it, a blessing in disguise, because now that we do know how to do this can open up the opportunities to talk to more people in different places remotely. And it kind of expand the guest list, if you will, on who can be on Whiskey Business. So we have comedian friends that are in other states that can't be here sitting across from me, which I love, which I got to be honest, I love that the most. I love the personal sitting across from somebody, but this is pretty damn close. I mean, I'm watching you, I'm watching your facial expressions, I'm watching your body language, and I'm listening to you, and I'm still able to do what I do as an interviewer by watching you.
Yeah, and I like that too. And I also like, kind of the technology ad that we're getting from this. When Hansberry threw in, after you said fireside chat, Hansberry throws, he's showing off. Oh, I know what that means.
I know he
throws an FDR. He throws FDR up there in front of a microphone. There it is again. In front of multiple microphones.
I'm never in front of my computer like this, having access to all these gizmos. It's fun.
So I mean, it's fun to watch kind of these little. Like, it's almost like watching Whiskey Business with pop-up video. That's kind of what it's like. It's like, references dropped, and here comes Hansberry. Boom. You want Ricky Schroeder? I got Ricky Schroeder.
Ironically enough, the only thing I can't figure out is how to do audio yet. I need to be able to pipe in music.
Eventually,
that's right. That was Steel.
You'll figure it out. Jamie Sanfilippo says Oak Island's starting, so I'm saying goodbye. So
I must be, somebody just is popping out to watch something. I must be the only person who has not yet watched this. What's it? Tiger
King, yeah.
Everybody is talking about this.
Yeah, I've watched one episode of it so far. It's definitely a train wreck that
my wife's been watching it. Yeah,
stop watching.
It's bizarre.
We watched them all. I've watched them all. It's a freak show.
It is a freak show. It gets
it's
freakier
like
with
up
each
cold cases and stuff now.
It gets freakier with each passing episode, supposedly. And yeah, I'm gonna take it in small doses. But I just started as well, Swarty, so don't feel bad. My daughter's actually on. She says it's gross. She also said I look like a very cool air traffic controller with my headset on.
Okay.
And our buddy Andre wanted to know if we were going to play Fortnite later.
Fortnite. Oh, yeah, because this is a gamer headset. Yeah. If anybody, me, gamer. If anybody wants to get into a really aggressive game of Pong, I'm your guy.
Video poker.
Yeah. Jeez. Gamer. No, that slipped by me completely. Hansberry, how we doing on time?
We're about there.
We're about there?
Yeah, home stretch now.
in the home stretch. My daughter says, I have been commenting. I don't doubt that you have, kiddo, but I haven't been able to look over to my right as much as I'd like to.
Is that because you've got something with your neck? Is there something wrong with your neck?
With my neck to look over there?
That
No,
you can't, yeah.
no, I'm trying not to look at the comments so much, and I'm trying to focus on my guest.
Focus. Oh, like a good host.
Like a good host, I'm trying to focus on my guest. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what basically. But I did see some comments off the top of my head, like Jamie asked why wasn't I smoking? How do you smoke with the headset? And I was like, you're right. I don't know if I'd be able to figure it out, but I shouldn't be smoking. And the fact that my daughter's now tuning in, I definitely should not be smoking
You don't
because
smoke.
she doesn't. I do smoke. I'm not going to lie.
I'm proud of you for quitting, Dino.
Yeah. Yes.
I knew you had it in you.
It's been 7 days without a cigarette.
It takes 2 weeks to start a habit, Dino, and you're almost there.
It takes 2 weeks to start a good
Bring it all
habit.
around.
Swarty, I'm looking forward. I am going to start wrapping it up, but I am looking forward again to the day where, one, you're back with us on the premise. That's still, we're still holding you to that.
Looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to the fact that you and I, through the year, we do a variety of charities together and work together. And those are always some of my most fun evenings because they benefit a lot of good organizations, but we always have a good time doing them. So I'm hoping that we, get on the other side of this and get back to doing that, what we love, which is entertaining and making people laugh and making people happy and doing good things with our time and effort. I sincerely appreciate you finding the time tonight. I know you're busy with your family because I know you're such a wonderful husband and a father. And I know that that's probably taken even more of your time to focus. I mean, how do you even explain this to your kid? Does she ask what's going on? I mean, what's going on, Daddy? She's 8 years old.
She got it pretty quickly. Before all of the orders came down, for example, she had her first ice skating lesson. And this is before all the orders came down, and it was right around, like, I think it was March 11th, and we just decided, hey, we're just not gonna do this ice skating lesson. We're gonna wait and see kind of what happens. And obviously, it was just in a couple days when that was no longer even an option. So once you kind of got over that initial things are going to be different because of this, you're going to be home from school, you're not going to be tumbling or dancing or playing basketball. She's adapted to it and been pretty resilient. In fact, we even had a little family cheer that we were doing for a little while at the start of all this. We'd be like, "Where are we going tomorrow?" And we'd all chant, "Nowhere." So, we did it, together as a family. And I think, because my daughter sees me here every day. She sees my wife here every day. We're all here. We're all together. There's a lot to be thankful for in that. And I think she has seen that more than I expected. Because I know as a kid, we were supposed to be on vacation and she's supposed to be tumbling and dancing and all of those things that are what she's accustomed to have been taken away. But she has been really resilient in all this. And I'm exceedingly proud of her for that because, I mean, she's been really good. She's been really good.
Kids are resilient. I mean, Hansberry's got 2 little ones at home, and I know that is it tomorrow, Hansberry, that Pancake Dinosaur drops?
Well, it's live now. We have a special April Fool's Day episode going up tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
April Fool's Day.
I started a podcast with my kids because.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because my wife is working from home, and I mean, she can't do both. I mean, they're 7 and 5, so that's all hands on deck.
Oh yeah.
So I do what I know how to do best. So yeah, be on the lookout. Pancake Dinosaurs, the April Fool's episode.
April Fool's Edition. He sent me a little sneak peek, and I actually laughed out loud a few times.
I love that name. I love that name. That's a great name.
Dinosaur. It's a great name. It's a great name.
And it makes me hungry too. So.
A lot of food themed content.
My daughter has a YouTube channel, and it wasn't that long ago. We hadn't posted a video for a while, and she started making some videos. and she she told me it wasn't that long ago when she said, "Hey, I haven't posted a video in a while. I bet my fans are wondering, where's Lizzie?" So maybe it's time to get back to that as well too.
Yeah,
Hey, it's
maybe.
a full-time job. It's a full-time job being a YouTube star.
Well,
Oh.
I want to tell everybody that's watching us on Facebook Live. My daughter says this is great. You guys should keep talking. Not long enough. Well, we are going to keep talking. We are going to wrap it up for the sake of the podcast that Hansberry and Whitney will record and slightly edit to put out later. But Swarty, if you're not doing anything and want to hang out and talk for a while longer
Sure.
after we actually officially wrap up the podcast, that would be great. So
Absolutely.
for editing purposes, and let me just say that we're going to wrap things up here on Whiskey Business. And don't forget to what's that? Well, I was going to let you do all the business because I didn't let you do it all in the beginning, Hansberry. Whiskeybusinesspod.com. Shout out to John Osbeck, who helped us put that site together. Thank you, Johnny. And Hansberry, I'll let you handle all the other particulars that people need to know about.
Well, if you're watching us on Facebook, you found us. Just please hit subscribe if you haven't. Share this link and share every podcast episode that we drop here. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. John will edit this up and put it on YouTube. It's subscribe to Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis. Click on the little bell and you'll get notifications when we have live episodes. So subscribe on your favorite podcasting app. We have archives of 4 years of episodes, including at least two with Dan. I know we did the Columbus podcast festival.
Yeah.
And then another one. Why are you smiling? Why are you making that face? Dino's making a goofy
podcast
face
festival. That's with Jason Banks as well.
That's right.
That was a funny episode.
That was,
we were talking about poop boners at the time, if I can recall.
That was a fun episode.
Son was getting poop boners. Anyway, I think he probably still does. Other than that, just share, and engage with us. Like we're kind of talking about this whole episode. This is the new normal, and we're just flying by the seat of our pants. So
we are.
For the
but
journey
I strongly believe that we're going to be back in this house again, or on some stage like Shadowbox Live doing the premise. That's going to happen.
It's going to happen again.
In the big, I've said this to various people. In the big picture of life, this is right now a small, nasty, dirty window, but we will clean it and it will be clear again, and we'll be able to see out of it and go to all the places that we want to go. You just got to stay strong, people, stay smart and stay safe. That's all. Really, that's all. Just it's in the big picture. What we're doing now, waiting this out, is not that fucking long. We can do it. We can do it. You just got to have a little patience and a little love and a little understanding. Much like my friend Dan Swartout. Full of patience, love, and understanding. Thank you, Swarty, for being here tonight.
That's my favorite Elvis Costello song, by the way.
What's that?
Patience, love, and understanding.
Did not even know that was an Elvis Costello song.
It's not.
It's not.
It was close.
It could be.
Do you know what else is going to help us get through this, Dino?
What's that?
Another episode of Whiskey Wisdom that drops tomorrow.
I was going to say that before we closed up. Whiskey Wisdom. We've got about 10 or 11 in the can as we speak, but Whitney is releasing them one at a time.
Number 3 is tomorrow.
Number 3 is coming out tomorrow, so keep an eye. And where can they find that? Everywhere they find this, right?
YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you can see things that we have an account to. So they'll all be there.
Yeah, they're all there. They're fun.
We'll
have you seen any of them yet, Swarty? Have you seen any of them?
I have not yet. No, I have not
Check them out. Check them out on YouTube.
I will.
It's just me sitting in a chair, waxing poetic about booze.
Yeah. That's all it is.
With actual quotes. There's Gordon Jump. There's a guy.
There he is. The big guy.
Yeah, the big guy.
He likes to sleep and spaghetti.
Rick Andreessen, do you have to have your daughter on the show? Yes, I do, Rick. You're right. Okay, good. Well,
that would be great. That would be great.
We got this. I can do it when she's over there, or eventually we're going to get her back here in Ohio so she can escape some of the madness.
You got to get her camera working.
She got to surely for her, it's Escape from New York. It's like a real life shit show over there. So I'm anxious to get her back here in Ohio for a little bit until everything cools down
That'd
over
be an
there.
interesting first-hand account of what's going on out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
Well,
Regardless of
I'll
the
talk
fact
to her
that she's
about
got
it.
crazy stories from growing up with you.
I'll talk to her. Well, no, we don't need to talk about any of that. That's unnecessary. All right, let me officially wrap things up. Swarty, thank you. Guys, thank you. For those of you watching on Facebook Live, we're not going anywhere. We're going to keep going and talk to you some more. But as far as Whiskey Business, the podcast goes, until the next bottle, see ya.